Sam. Thanks for checking out this video. If you get to the end and liked it, then subscribe, bell notification, video a thumbs up, or give the video a thumbs up. I think a couple people commented when I was like, oh my god, I think I sound like Julia Child in that movie with like Meryl Streep. And a couple people were like, oh, I thought you sounded like Mrs. Doubtfire. And I was like, bitch, I sound like both. Oh my god, it's true. But anyways, books that I read this week. Self-quarantine has resulted in me reading an awful lot of books. And in no particular order, this week I read Blood Thief by Crystal Smith. This is the first in what is to be a trilogy, I believe. They've already done a mid-series cover change, which is like a big strike against it, but I do like the cover change that it went to. These ones are nice, but I actually do like the illustrated. I don't like people on covers, except I can deal with it when it's illustrated, but I really like whoever the artist was for the new covers. I actually really like them. So Blood Thief is set in this world where it's not great to have, like, both be women and have magic witchy powers, and then, like, the heir to the kingdom, kind of, like, gets caught in, like, a Salem witch trial situation, and they're like, ah, she's a witch, burn her! So they flee, and then, like, all this political turmoil kind of gets brought up, and we meet characters from her past that, you know, they thought things were sorted out, but they were clearly not. Oh, I'm also sorry for the hair. I know I look like a cosplay, like an adult cosplaying as, like, JoJo Siwa. I'm not. I'm just trying to get the back of my hair to dry because I have thick hair. I have thick hair. I'm a thick hair bitch. I can't do anything about that. I'm gonna style it, don't worry. Yeah, so the main character essentially trying to defeat all of these political enemies, which are, like, literally, like, stabby, Jack the Ripper murdering people. And yeah, I enjoyed this, actually. It was, I think, a little bit, like, flat at the beginning, but I think the characters really did start to develop, and I liked the magic system. She has blood magic, which I feel like is just a new thing that we're all of a sudden like, maybe we should try and have characters with blood magic, and then there's like 5 books all at once that have blood magic. But I really did enjoy it, actually. Not enough to pay the dash higher in Canada. I want to say these books, they were $26.95 at the Canadian bookstores here, or higher. Because I remember looking at it and being like, no one's gonna buy that. Like, no one's gonna pay that much money for a book in Canada, a YA book. Are you guys on like drugs or something like that? So, I would definitely by no means pay that much money for it. I don't know that there are many books that I would pay that much for. It'd have to be like an anniversary edition of like a Leigh Bardugo book or something like that. But, I enjoyed it, actually. I don't think I will ever come back and reread this, but I think I will continue reading on the series, through the library. Yeah. Oh, also some fun news. Macmillan decided to lift their embargo selling model to libraries. Because they started a pilot project in October, that gave it so that libraries could buy one ebook copy of whatever the title was, and then they were blocked for, I think it was 60 or 90 days from buying any more. So this would allow libraries, like think of Toronto Public Library, New York Public Library, being able to buy one copy of Supernova by Marissa Meyer, which is under Fuel and Friends, I think it is, which is an imprint of Macmillan, so they did sell it in that model, I believe. But anything that is a Macmillan publication especially, that we could buy one ebook copy of it, so it would immediately get jacked up on holds, like 90 plus holds, so people would see the holds list and go, screw that, and then they would go buy it. That was the intention with Macmillan. I think they forgot pirating exists. So instead of, like, someone like Toronto Public Library, for especially big books like Becoming by Michelle Obama, I don't know who the publisher for that is off the top of my head, but, like, Toronto Public Library has, like, 300 copies of 300 ebook copies, and each ebook copy in Canada, normally at the base price is about $60. So they lost 299 copies, essentially, for that book example, times $60 a piece. And they were assuming that there would be enough people that would go, like, buy it on their own, that they would make that back plus money. I don't know why they didn't think people pirate, especially in Canada. But they removed that after, they called it a pilot project. I think they finally looked at the numbers and realized, oh, we're not making money. We're likely probably losing money. So yeah, shout out to them for acknowledging that at least, but y'all are assholes for even doing that in the first place. I also picked up Seven Deadly Shadows by Courtney Alameda and Valin Maitani. I'm not sure if I said that right. We've established my difficulty with last names, especially pronouncing. Anyway, so our main character is the granddaughter of a gentleman who essentially protects one of, I think it's 7, or there's multiple shrines, but one of a major shrine in like modern day time period, and through a series of events, she witnesses his death, and then we find out there's this like, I don't want to give too much away because I feel like it's kind of the fun part of it. There is not a medallion. There is an artifact which has been split in the past into 7 different pieces to disperse it from enemies, bad people getting it and using the power for bad. And they think one of those pieces, the last piece that this evil people are looking for now, was at the shrine where her grandfather was murdered. So she's trying to protect that. She also has some not psychotic. Her parents are just kind of douches. And it's all about that. This is one that I definitely need to come back and reread when I'm in a different mood. I think I struggled with the same kind of part with Wicked Fox as with this. I liked the magic part of it, but it felt disconnected with the contemporary, like, teenagey drama aspects in it. Like, the main character goes to school and kind of is, like, getting bullied or whatever, and I feel like that part just kind of kept randomly coming back, and I'm like, what? If you wanted to put this at the beginning, like, I get that, like, give us a Mia Thermopolis, like, oh, no one loves her, and she turns beautiful, and everyone, yeah, I get that, but there's no need to, like, continue, like, have I didn't see the purpose of a lot of that stuff, so maybe I'm missing things. My brain is all over the place with all the quarantine stuff and everything, and just getting back from my grandfather passing, so, like, this is one I want to give a reread. I didn't hate it. It's around a 3 stars for me right now. But I definitely need to come back and kind of refresh my brain. Refresh my brain and then come back. Yeah, that way. Yeah, so I don't know that I can really comment too much on it. There were parts that I liked. There were parts that I didn't like. And I also picked up Bail Revoked by Lindsay Miller, and I was pleasantly surprised that I really, really enjoyed this book, because I did not like Mask of Shadows. I tried it, I think, a couple times to pick it up, and I couldn't get to, like, even page 50, I think, on any of the times I read it. So this is set to be, I think it's just a standalone, actually. I think I kept thinking it was duology because Mask of Shadow is a duology, but I think it's just a standalone. But Emily and the other character, Annette, essentially are like, they do, not a Freaky Friday. What's the Parent Trap? No, is it the Parent Trap? They switch from the poor girls, or the wealthy girl switches to the poor girl, and there's a little bit of, like, kind of French Revolution, geography, and politics in this. That is kind of the structure of the world. So they switch because the rich girl has to go to school and the poor girl wants to go to school but she can't afford it. So they kind of do a switcheroo, and then there's, like, this development of all these different magic skills, and the world is kind of in, like, I don't know if civil war is the right way, but they're trying to combat, if you can hear Watson snoring, sorry. They're trying to combat, I think it's Henry the 12th is the king, and he's doing some, like, kind of zombie kind of shit, and it's very interesting and weird. It was actually really pleasantly surprised, though. I really enjoyed it. I liked the characters especially. I feel like the conclusion was good. I feel like there was a lot that happened, especially in, like, it's not a huge book, and it is a standalone, but I feel like there was enough information across the board in the setting, and the politics, and the characters, and the conflict, that I didn't feel any sort of lulls. I feel like there were certain parts, like the action peaking with, like, especially near the end, I feel like it was a really, like, good, like, it didn't just go peak and then, like, kind of, like, tail at the very end and just keep going. I feel like there was, like, it ended where it needed to. There was no extra random thing, but I also don't feel like I got to the end and was like, but you didn't answer 400 questions. Like, I feel like it was pretty well wrapped up. And yeah, I'm hoping this will eventually go up on Book Outlet, because I know they did hardcover copies. At least you can buy hardcover copies online. So I'm curious to see what it would look like. I hope they, like, lifted some of this or something. I know it's source book, so it's not like a massive publisher, but I hope they did something like that. But yeah, in the end, I really actually pleasantly surprised and enjoyed this. It's like a 4 or 4.5 out of 5 stars. I also picked up Be Not Far From Me by Mindy McGinnis and read it in, like, 2 hours. Not super shocking. Mindy McGinnis is an instant read author for me. This book, okay, I'm someone who, like, I wish I had the brain to go into medical fields. I just don't. Science and biology especially is just something I tried. I wanted to go into kinesiology for a long time to do physical therapy, and I'm so bad at science, especially biology. I'm just so bad at it. Like, and then I'm not great with needles. I'm not great with blood. I'm actually just getting goosebumps even just saying needles. I'm not great with needles or blood, and even the concept of me having to potentially get a COVID test if I ever, like, got symptomatic. They, like, shove something, like, basically almost up your brain, like a Q-tip or whatever. I'm like, oh, no. So, like, in this book, the main character catches her boyfriend, what's like the woke way of saying this on Twitter? He's creeping with his ex-girlfriend whilst they're all camping. I don't know what his thought process was, because you're just fucking dumb. You're just asking. You're just begging to get, like, caught at that point. But anyway, so she runs into the forest, kind of angry, upset, trying to get away from the situation, and she ends up lost. And a bunch of things happen along the way before, you know, the end. It's not super long, but it felt like I was just like, just someone help this girl out of the forest for, like, the entire book. And just, like, someone help her. And, like, but then there's, like, I don't want to give things away, but, like, medical things happen in non-medical facilities, I guess we'll say. Like, it just, like, I can't do, like, bloody, gory, I can't, no. Like, I was interested in watching that, what's that James Franco movie where he, like, falls in a rock? No, he doesn't fall in a rock. Is it like 100 Hours or something like that? And everyone's like, oh, it's so good. I'm like, oh, what happens? They're telling me, and they're like, I was like, so what does he do? And they're like, oh, and, like, he cuts off his arm. I'm like, nope, not watching none of that crap. No. Even the insinuation of it happening off screen, I can't handle that. So I literally have, like, goosebumps right now. Oh my god, this is people, I think, that have gone through big changes in life, traumatic experience or something. I feel like this is something they would maybe be able to really appreciate an awful lot. And then for some reason, immediately after, I decided to pick up Liesl and Poe by Lauren Oliver. Just as at the time, I read Be Not Far From Me, and then I was getting back to work, working from home, and I had to buy a bunch of books for our library, so I was going through our catalogs to see what we already had, and just be like a reminder of, oh, we bought book 1 of this series, we should go buy book 2 now that it's out or whatever. And I noticed that we had the audiobook for Liesl and Poe, and I was like, I must have bought that a little while ago, just totally forgotten about it. And I still haven't read it. So, and I noticed it was available now. So I was like, screw it. All right, I'll read it. So I read Liesl and Poe. It's so freaking cute. It reminded me a little bit of that Mammoth book because it's set in, like, a kind of dystopian-y, like, Victorian-y era. But it's not really that way. It just made me think of certain parts of Mammoth for some reason. Isn't Mammoth that book that I read by David Walliams? I was wrong. It's called The Ice Monster. That book. Anyways, our main character, her father has just suddenly passed away, and her evil stepmother has forced her to move in the attic, and she kind of makes a break for it, and she starts seeing ghosts, and she wants to make contact with her dad because she never got to really say goodbye to him because of how he died. And we find out more about the stepmother, and then we have this character who is kind of the punching bag of a local, it's an alchemist, right? Who's just kind of a douchebag who also just has connections to the stepmother, and, like, all these things happen, and she just, it's the whole time of, like, it's kind of grieving and her but she's having adventures, and she knew who her dad was, and she feels like he's, you know, there's things she wants to make sure he passes through, safely, and that she does what he wanted of her in life, and how he, you know, is buried and dealt with and all that way. So, yeah, it was really fun. It was really cute. It was a really quick read. I liked, the illustrations are kind of weird that there's a lot of landscapes in here. You can see, oops, is that one there? Yeah, I don't necessarily love the illustrations of all the landscapes, but I really liked the illustrations of the people in this. So that's kind of a weird, the other one's looking complete, like I'm waiting for them to add the people. I feel like her sneaking in the crowd, and then he sees her, and in the thing, he's kind of got a crush on her. And the first time she actually sees him, she runs for a variety of reasons, but he's kind of heartbroken when it happens. So I really like the people illustrated, but not so much the plain landscape ones. Those ones just didn't do much for me. I then whipped through Anna James is the author. I whipped through the second book of the Pages and Co. series, Tilly and the Lost Fairy Tales. This is the sequel to Tilly and the Book Wanderers. This where I left off. So our main character, Matilda Tilly, her mom is back in the real world after after everything that happens at the end of the first book. And someone new is going to be taking over the under library because they don't think the existing librarian that was there when this all kind of went down is competent anymore, because they're a bunch of like old white dudes who want to be traditionalist and all that crap. So, despite the fact that they just found out that everyone just found out they were betrayed at the end of Tilly and the Book Wanderers, they immediately latch onto some sketchy dude who's like, I'll fix everything, and then talks in riddles and circles and doesn't actually answer questions, and just mysteriously came back from this being missing, and like just all this sketchy stuff, and like he goes kind of full dictatory of like trying to bind books so people can't jump. You have to now be tracked if you're gonna go book wandering so that they always know where you are in a book and all that stuff. Just a lot of sketchy, like, dictatory, controlling me sort of things that are unnecessary. And Tilly ignores those rules, but we develop plot holes and we find out, oh, the archivists are missing. What about the archivists? And her grandparents aren't being totally forthright with a lot of information. She's getting really frustrated. And we kind of explore what it's like being a book wanderer, but not being attached to an underlibrary in England or being attached to the underlibrary in Paris. So I actually really enjoyed this one. It's a solid continuation of this. I'm curious to see what else this series is going to bring. I finally read The Toll by Niall Schusterman by the soon-to-be-sold Simon & Schuster. I'm confused how and why Simon & Schuster is being sold, because I feel like they release a lot of good selling, like really well-selling books. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, this is the sequel to Thunderhead, which is the sequel to Scythe, so it's the end of this mind-bogglingly good trilogy. I hesitate to read it because it's like, I don't want it to end, but it's kind of difficult to explain without spoiling everything that happens in Thunderhead. So I'm not really going to. It's just a continuation of where Thunderhead leaves off. Everything's in ruins and pieces. We have to pick all the pieces together. And our cast is very splintered through a variety of different ways. Our evil people that are running things at the end of Thunderhead are still running things in this one. So we have to beat them. It's the easiest way forward. But it was really cool. We get to explore different parts of the world, but as well as just different time periods. We see these, like, they discover kind of like the original this island that's kind of been like untouched, of like what it was like when all of this began, like what these people started as a small colony and it's grown into what it has grown into. We have a dictatorial leader who may or may not act like an awful lot of existing American politicians, and I mean, it gets, when I read that and I'm like, I want to detach from our world. There's too many connections. I know this person is supposed to be this president. I know that. Like, I know what he's doing is fucked up. Like, you're preaching to the choir here. So, I mean, like, it got frustrating, but, like, it got to the end and I was like, okay, so there's, like, a light at the end of the tunnel kind of mentality that I kind of left with, which I guess is good. And finally this week, I read King of Crows in a day. So this, which is actually, it's like 570, that's the author's note. 547 pages. It's also like a tall bitch, and like the writing's like, about average. So like a regular YA book is probably like here, so it's a little bit long. Oh, it was so good. It was such a good ending to this series. This series is so underappreciated. As the title suggests, we're having our final like showdown with the King of Crows, and we have this whole zombie situation, this not parallel universe. There's our world, and then there's this like world where people are being, from the other books, where they're being taken to and being used as energy to like power this like crazy thing. This series reminds me of like a more in-depth, like a larger world span of like the Jacobi conflict. You know what I mean? It's definitely more like historical fiction leaning than paranormal, the way Jacobi is, and like as you can tell from like the size of the books, they have a lot more meat and everything to them. This book does not, especially, even the other books didn't, but this book especially like goes head to head with the KKK. And I know that seems like such a like thing of like, oh, we know the KKK, they're evil. But guys, the Nazis and the KKK are back. Like, they never, but I mean, like, they're back. Like, there's people that show up, ironically, ironically roasting tiki torches, being like, oh, respect to the white man, you're attacking us by saying, like, we can't call you a slur. Like, it's mind-boggling to me that we have to say that, but, like, we do. Like, don't be that bigot. Like, don't be that person. And I love that this book does not shy away from, like, no, they're evil. I'm not gonna play this, there were parties on both sides that were, like, did have, like, no, you, the person as a part of this hate group, did something bad. And I know you're the voting base for me, so I'm gonna try and not hurt your feelings. None of that shit in this book. You know what I'm talking about. It's very much as, like, no, the KKK is evil. If you're a part of them, that's what you are. So our cast finally goes on this big whole, you know, there's the showdown after what happens at the end of The Devil Breaks You with the explosion. And then we finally meet that person that's been popping up in, wait, what's the little brother? Isaiah, in his dreams, Sarah Beth. And we've met her a little bit in other books, like in, like, random scenes. And then we're finally gonna find out the connection to the King of Crows. And it's just, like, a really important freaking series, and I'm so pissed that the publishers butchered the shit out of the marketing of this, of the covers of this, and it's just I know this series, it's been, like, 10 years since she started writing it, because she took, like, 2-year gaps between each book, but it's so timely right now, and, like, it's just important, and I know the people that should read this are not going to be the people that are going to be interested in it necessarily, which is fucking infuriating. But I really just want people to read this series for the message alone. And in addition to, like, all the fucking diversity in here, it's non-stop in here. But it's just important, like, the message and, like, just the social issues it brings up from the start to finish. It's so freaking important. This is probably one of the best conclusions to a series I've read, too. Like, just like, this is one of the most amazing series, and yeah. So those are all the books that I read this week. I also noticed, I think I missed 2 books in the review that I did before this. I read All the Stars and Teeth, right? That's what it's called, by Adeline Grace, I think it is. It was alright. Nothing super amazing. It was alright. I feel like it's gotten a lot of hype, so I'm like, I'm missing something. So I definitely want to reread that one. And I also read A Murderous Relation by Deanna Raybourn, which I don't think anyone's surprised I read it the day it came out. It's amazing. It's wonderful. I love that series so much. It's my favorite. So, yeah, I will link all of these books in the description box down below. I will also link all of my social media. If you follow me, I will follow you back. Stay inside. If you do not need to go outside, stay inside in quarantine. Even if you are symptomatic or asymptomatic, I do not care. You can pass it on to someone else. Stay inside your goddamn house, okay? Stay inside. Go, if you need to go in your backyard and just breathe some fresh air, that's fine. But don't go on a goddamn flight, don't go to fucking Florida and stand at a beach in a bunch of crowds. Stay inside.